Ambition, whoa, talking about ambition, whoa.
I grew up like many of you, in a pretty poor situation. My parents divorced and I was the oldest child, so I was put in the middle. So I made a decision as a 12-year-old to stay with my father, who we did not get along at all. We both liked to hunt, and that was it. So for about 2 weeks out of the year, we got along. The other 50 weeks, we were just like oil and water, cats and dogs. Didn't get along. My father was barely graduated high school, so back in the 80s, probably you guys don't remember, some of you guys might, that big recession of the 80s, for many years he didn't have a job. And there were times where I had to hunt and fish for food, literally, and if I didn't catch a fish, I didn't eat. Summers were easier because in June I could take my bike and ride over here and get strawberries, July over here for raspberries, September over here for apples, and that's how it was for probably like 4 years. So what that did for me was it instilled a sense of, if you want to do it, you have to do it yourself. You have to go out, I got all my drive, my willpower, and it taught me that, you know what, nobody's going to do this for me. If I want something, I have to do it myself. I collected baseball cards growing up, and the prices just kept going up and up and up. And at one point I decided, you know what, this is too expensive. I can't be a collector because it's just too much money. So I decided to take the other route, and I decided to become a baseball card dealer. And this is my first foray into entrepreneurship. This is the first business that I ever owned. When I first started doing baseball cards, my whole collection was worth about $1,000. And 3 years later, I retired from the baseball card business, and my collection was worth about $125,000. So I built that value up in a matter of about 3 years. Back in 1994, I worked at this place called Area Resource Specialist. There's a pond right across from where we worked, and half the office played pond hockey. So we decided to get the domain pondhockey.com and just make a really fun site. So when we went to do that, somebody else had registered it, and we're like, oh, what's up with that? So we registered pondhockey.net, which is the first domain that I ever registered. So from there, I thought, well, let me just get a couple of the Pond Hockey domain or extensions, and then so I started looking around on the internet. I'm like, oh, well, these domains, they seem like they could sell for money. So I started researching. It's like, yeah, they can. So I just started buying more and more. And generally, you see things that are like product related or strong one words that are used every day in conversation. Like ambition. It's a very to me, it's, I think, entrepreneur. Just go get them, goal setting, that kind of stuff.
So there's a whole business behind people just buying and selling domains, to understand it, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of people who make a living at it.
Yeah.
I used to make more money selling domains than most people made in their jobs.
Amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And so, I think the interesting thing to take from this, guys, is that there's opportunity everywhere where you didn't even realize it.
To me, it's always the first rules that I always say is know who has the leverage, right? So in this case, he has the leverage, right? He's got something that you guys want. So that's the first case. And I think the second rule that I always live by in negotiation is everyone wants to walk away as if they won, right? So that's an important one, because it's not I basically ripped you off and I got the domain. That's not going to work, right? That never works in negotiation. It's how do you basically give him value? So he goes, yeah, they gave me less, but I feel great about it too, right? You want both people to walk away. When Kobe signs a big contract, they're like, oh yeah, we got Kobe. We only had to pay him $30 million. But somehow the Lakers thought that was a good idea and left the negotiation table strong. So I think in this instance, what you guys are doing, talking, thinking through what has value to Bob beyond dollars, right? And I also think what you guys talked about, there might be with this, the rent with your lease with an option to buy, there might be ways to also approach it of, hey, why don't we give you $5,000 now, and if we do X, X, and X, there might be a kicker in the future, right? You always want to try to give someone, like whenever I approach something of somebody wants $10, I want to pay them $2, I try to bridge the gap with some type of upside, right? So it's kind of like, right, he's investing in you guys and vice versa.
Again, I really like what ambition is, and I like the vision and where Nancy and all you people are taking this.
So I'm obviously, willing to work, and, I don't need $25,000 out of it.
Yeah, we were sitting down, and she said, Brandon, why don't we just do a scholarship in his name, because he's going to ultimately be the influence for creating all of these ambitious scholars and entrepreneurs. And so you have a vested interest over a host of people with your name backing them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We have our friend Carter in here too. You met him earlier, and we were thinking of asking him to ask his followers to donate $1 towards helping us. He has 127,000 followers on Facebook and
That's a lot.
62,000 on Twitter.
You probably can't tell, Bob, but I'm very charming from afar, so I'm not sure the Skype does me justice, but yeah. Because I think one thing they talked about, Bob, when we were talking in our groups today was, they were a little intimidated by how many cupcakes that they would have to sell to, get a big purchase price kind of today. And so they were trying to think about if there was a way to work with you in terms of, since this domain would be used for future classes, right? Is there a way to kind of think about something today that's kind of manageable for the teams, but also thinking about then how future classes could then continue to build on this and hopefully, continue to pay you down the line as this gets bigger and bigger every year. So it might be an interesting way if you're amenable to something like that.
I absolutely am. I think that idea was last week as to make some kind of like payment plan out, which I've done in the past with several domains. So I'm very open to that, and I want I want to work with you to try to get this in your hands so we can get this kicked off and get going as soon as we can.